The moment my wife, Linda, grabbed my wrist, I knew something was terribly wrong. Her fingers trembled so violently that the glass of champagne in her other hand nearly slipped to the hardwood floor. "David," she whispered, barely moving her lips. "We need to leave. Right now." I looked around, confused. Our son Ethan was laughing with guests in the kitchen, proudly showing off the beautiful home he'd just bought. Music played softly through hidden speakers. Children chased each other around the backyard. Everything looked perfect. "What happened?" I asked. Linda refused to look at me. "I'll explain later." She sounded terrified. Not nervous. Not uncomfortable. Terrified. After 32 years of marriage, I'd never seen that expression on her face. It was the same look she'd had the night we got the call that my father had died. My stomach tightened. I glanced toward Ethan. He was smiling, completely unaware that his mother looked as though she'd seen a ghost. I leaned closer. "Did someone threaten you?" She shook her head. "No." "Then what is it?" She hesitated. Then she whispered 4 words that made absolutely no sense. "That fireplace shouldn't exist." I stared at her. "What?" Before she could answer, Ethan walked over carrying a tray of drinks. "There you are." He laughed. "Mom, Dad, everyone keeps asking where you disappeared to." Linda forced a smile that fooled absolutely no one. "You okay, Mom?" Ethan asked. She nodded too quickly. "Just a little tired." Ethan wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You've barely seen the upstairs yet. Come on." I saved the best part for last. Linda immediately stepped backward. "No." The word came out so sharply that Ethan blinked. I mean, maybe later." He frowned. "Seriously? The master bedroom has the best view in the whole neighborhood." I said no. The conversation went silent. Nearby guests awkwardly pretended not to notice. I quickly laughed. "Your mother's exhausted from all the driving." Ethan shrugged. "No problem. Later then." As he walked away, Linda grabbed my hand again. Her nails dug into my skin. "Promise me," she whispered. "Whatever happens, don't go upstairs." I stared at her. "What are you hiding from me?" A tear rolled down her cheek. "For once, just trust me." I wanted to, but curiosity has ruined far better men than me. And before the evening was over, I'd discover the one secret my wife had buried for nearly 35 years. A secret hidden inside our own son's new house. One that was about to destroy everything our family believed. Nodded as if I believed her. But the moment Linda stepped outside onto the patio to catch her breath, I quietly slipped into the hallway. Something about her reaction didn't make sense. How could a fireplace in a house we'd never visited before terrify her? As I reached the staircase, Ethan called out from the kitchen. "Dad, come check out my home office. It's upstairs." I forced a smile. "Lead the way." The second floor was spotless. Fresh paint. New hardwood floors. Family photos already lined the hallway. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Ethan proudly pointed to each room. "This is the guest room. Future nursery someday, hopefully." He laughed. Then he opened the master bedroom. "And this is my favorite room." The first thing I noticed was the stone fireplace. Old. Far older than the rest of the house. It looked as if it had been preserved during renovations. Above the mantel sat a small brass plaque the previous owner had left behind. Built from the original Whitmore estate 1989. My heart skipped. Linda had met me in 1991. She couldn't possibly know anything about a mansion demolished 2 years earlier. Could she? Pretty cool, right? Ethan said. The contractor told me they kept the original fireplace because it was too valuable to remove. I nodded absently. Then something caught my eye. A loose brick near the bottom corner. It looked different from the others. Almost newer. Without thinking, I crouched down and pressed it. Click. A faint metallic sound echoed inside the chimney. What was that? Ethan asked. Before I could answer, a narrow compartment hidden behind the fireplace slowly swung open. Inside was a dusty metal box. Neither of us spoke. Ethan carefully lifted it out. There was no lock, just decades of dust. When he opened it, we found a bundle of yellowed letters tied with faded blue ribbon. An old silver pocket watch. And one black and white photograph. Ethan picked up the photo first. His smile disappeared. Dad. His voice shook. Why is Mom in this picture? I grabbed it from his hands. My knees nearly gave out. The young woman in the photograph was unmistakably Linda. She looked barely 20 years old. Standing beside her was an older couple. And between them, a little boy around 4 years old. On the back, written in faded ink, were chilling words. Our family, together forever. Spring 1989. But Ethan wasn't looking at the writing. He was staring at the little boy. Then he looked at me. Dad, that kid, he looks exactly like me. At that exact moment, we heard the front door slam downstairs. Then Linda's frightened voice echoed through the house. David, where are you? She knew. She knew we'd found the box. And judging by the panic in her voice, she had spent 35 years praying this day would never come. Linda burst into the bedroom, her face streaked with tears. The moment she saw the open metal box in Ethan's hands, she stopped. For several long seconds, no one spoke. Finally, she whispered, I was too late. Ethan held up the photograph. Mom, why are you in this picture? She closed her eyes. Then, in a trembling voice, she said the words that shattered our family forever. Because I lived here. Silence filled the room. I could barely breathe. You told me you grew up in Ohio, I said. I did, she replied softly. After I was adopted. My mind raced. Adopted. She nodded. I was born into the Whitmore family. When I was 19, my parents took in a little boy after a terrible accident claimed his family. We planned to adopt him. She looked at Ethan. He was kind, funny, and fearless. I loved him like a little brother. Ethan glanced at the photo again. The boy. Linda nodded. His name was Daniel. She took a deep breath. Months later, a fire destroyed the estate. Everyone believed Daniel had died. My parents were killed trying to save him, and I was the only survivor. Tears streamed down her face. I couldn't bear the memories. I was adopted by relatives, changed my last name, and buried that part of my life forever. I looked at the letters. Then who put these here? Linda untied the faded ribbon around the stack of letters. The last envelope had never been opened. Across the front, in careful handwriting, were the words, "For whoever finds this, especially Daniel." Inside was a letter from Linda's father. He wrote that if Daniel ever survived and returned, He should know one thing. You were never abandoned. You were our son in every way that mattered. Ethan looked confused. But what does this have to do with me? Linda gently touched his shoulder. When you bought this house, you unknowingly bought land built from the remains of the Whitmore estate. That's why the fireplace was preserved. She smiled through her tears. I wasn't afraid because of ghosts. I was afraid because I wasn't ready to face the happiest memories, and the greatest loss of my life. Just then, the front doorbell rang. A man in his early 40s stood outside holding a small envelope. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said. I'm the grandson of the contractor who salvaged this fireplace. My grandfather always said that if anyone ever found the hidden box, I should deliver this. Inside the envelope was a faded adoption record. At the bottom was one familiar name. Daniel Whitmore. The visitor smiled. My grandfather eventually found him alive years after the fire. He was adopted by another family and lived a full life. Linda's hands shook. So, Daniel survived. The man nodded. He passed away peacefully last year. He had no children, but before he died, he donated part of his estate to help foster children find permanent families. Linda cried quietly, not from heartbreak this time, but from relief. For 35 years, she'd believed the little boy she'd loved had died alone. Instead, he had lived a meaningful life and spent it helping children just as others had once helped him. As we left Ethan's house that evening, Linda squeezed my hand. I should have told you the truth years ago. I smiled gently. Maybe. But tonight wasn't about uncovering a curse. It was about finally finding peace. Sometimes the scariest secrets aren't hiding monsters. They're hiding unfinished grief, waiting for the day a family is finally strong enough to face the truth.